hear the final mixes of our new album, which is coming out within a couple of months. So Areola Treat started around 2006-07. Adrian and Chris decided to keep playing together after Lumiere split up, and shortly after Lisa joined and Matthew, after they tried a few other bassists, I think, which didn't work out. And they wrote a bunch of songs within a few weeks. Since the split of Lumiere, the previous band, they practically went live. The first gig I heard of Areola Treat was like, blew me away, because I don't know, they had so much energy at the time, and Lisa's vocals were really different sounding to most other bands as well. You know, from the first time I heard them, I just made a point to go to every other gig they played. After which they were approached by Kinky Star. I mean, they caught the attention of a Belgian label, Kinky Star, and they distributed their album in Belgium, and they even went on a mini tour in Belgium, which went really well. Then right after they got back, they started writing new stuff for the album Pleasure Machines. This was in 2009, and the style was evolving. You know, Adrian was trying different tunings, different pedals, different guitars, and I'd say it's got a bit more deep. After recording Pleasure Machines, they decided to go on another tour, but Matthew, the previous bassist, had other commitments, unfortunately, and they approached me. But right after that tour, we started writing new songs for the next album, which will be this album coming out. So despite practicing for the gigs, promoting that album, we already had new material in the garage, like getting ready. Shortly after, well, not shortly after, it was quite a while after, in 2011, we released the album, Pleasure Machines. That's a really stuffy and really cool gig. It was sold out. It was in this big old wooden boat, which was once used for a movie. And it was really cool. police actually stopped us because we were making too much noise. I hope we find a venue for our lunch, because we haven't decided on a venue yet. I mean, it won't be in summer, so we can't go outdoors. And it can't be too small, because if it's too small, it will end up like our other lunch where we had an overcrowding of people and it was crazy. I mean, okay, it was cool, but could have been a bit bigger, I think. Yeah, so that's pretty much future for now, short term. Can't see for very long term. I think very long term we're just go in hibernation mode again and just make new songs. Which is what we just love to do.
There's so little to do here. There's so few options that, you either join a band and make music, do something creative, or feel depressed and have no one to talk to share your experiences. There was virtually no one at the time of interest I could think of. I'd been switching bands. And you just need to make a connection with someone who feels the same. Nothing much ever happened in this street, but further up we'll look at some of the places that have now been demolished or are no longer existing for some reason. This is where we'd first played as a band. This is a rock club once upon a time. Now it's been converted into a language school come business center. Gentlemen's Club. Okay, we start with all the gentlemen's clubs. This is one of them. So many. Black and white. To tickle your fancy. And very commercial, very boring. Greek columns. It's just a gentleman's club again, It's awful, it really is. There's nowhere to go. And that's another gentleman's club right behind you, and another one. Of course, it's nothing got to do with morality. I have nothing against strip clubs. I mean, I've been to a few times. But it's just that everything has become so mundane, so typical, so polished, and nothing is interesting or quirky or, you need sleaze, but not sleaze with no taste. You need good music. This happens to be a club me and my friends would come to when we were teenagers, barely. We had fake IDs. And every night at midnight, or Fridays, especially Fridays and Saturdays, they'd start playing their usual repertoire. Sisters of Mercy, Black Sabbath, you'd have the Rolling Stones, you'd have lots of gothic, The Cure, pop, goth. And we used to love dancing here, and I have no idea why it closed down, but for some reason, what happened? The lovers of rock music just died, and they turned it into a strip club, another one, I mean, come on, face food. You can't, you have no imagination to call it anything else. You're just attracting a load of rubbish to your rubbish. Garbage in, garbage out. Oh yeah, the decor, interesting papier-mâché interiors. Kind of reminds me of the Maltese Carnival. Again, no substance. It's style over substance. Not that that was style, but it's style over substance, and that's the key phrase that, you know, it encapsulates the tourist areas here and the clubbing area. I think this is another place. Yes, this was once a club we used to play in, and I played in with my band and others as well. We used to go watch bands here. It wasn't a mega cool club for alternative music, but it was a rock bar, you know. And again, it's closed down. Sign of the times. Oh yeah, we're moving on to another place that is the only rock bar still open. I mean, it's closed right now, but but it'll open again. But it's the only one left standing. Yeah. Now we're moving on to another place that recently closed down, and it was the only punk venue I actually kind of liked going to because of its atmosphere, its vibe, and the kind of music they would play. And the owners were, you know, into punk and alternative music themselves, so they made the place what it was. You want to have a rock club that's owned by real people like you who listen to the same stuff you do and want to have others enjoy the same experience. It doesn't have to be clean and overly polished. It just has to be real and enjoyable and fun. So it could be a bit dirty and sleazy, not, you know, clinical, and that's fun, that's great. So this is it. This was right next to a apart hotel, okay? It's an underground punk club, now closed. And those are the remnants of what used to be a club. I started playing in music and bands when I was 15, and I joined my first band. We were called Roughed Up Sexed Teenagers, R-U-S-T for short. We were punk, obviously, and then from then on I had about 12 whole years of completely uneventful happenings and goings on with other bands that are not really worth mentioning, but I was in so many genres.
Bashing my mom's Tupperwares and, you know, pots and pans, I decided it's time to buy a drum kit. But back then we didn't have any money, you know. I was only 11. So I put 10 cents on a jackpot, and I miraculously won 96 Maltese pounds back in 1992. Which my mom obviously deposited on my bank account and bought a drum kit, which she just added like 30 more pounds Maltese, and I found a drum kit one fine day after school. And that made my day, obviously. Yeah, in fact, the bar owner was like, "You're not supposed to play, you know. Get your mom now." You know? Anyway, it's a nice story I'd like to tell.
L-ewwel bdejt indoq wara nitgħallem fl-iskola li classic guitar. U għamilt total ta' xi sena u nofs, jew sentej, u ma kelli interess ta' xejn. Kont qed immur hemm biex il-ġenituri bagħtuni hemmhekk biex qalu li t-tibta fuq dik biex hekk suppost. Mentri ma veru xejn. U ma kontx nieħu gost la kont indoq waħdi kont imur lesson nagħmel eżami ħasek. U mbagħad fl-aħħar konvinċejt missieri jixtri gitarra bil-pat li nħallsu, għandek kolli flus. U 94. Once li kien electric guitar ma tiju, mbagħad electric guitar u pedala waħda overdrive. U bdejt naħu gost, mbagħad minn hemm għamil self-taught mbagħad.
So, my first band, I was actually a vocalist, believe it or not, but it was, I was around 18 at the time. It was like a sixth form band. And we just started, you know, the whole garage atmosphere and writing songs in the garage. Then my friend decided to start up a band and I joined as a bassist. And we're this sort of alternative rock band with various influences, blues, bit of stoner rock. And we had quite a good run. We made an EP. And then in the meantime, I met up with the guys from the Areola Treat.
Il-band li spiċċajt li bdejt indoq il-gitarra ħabba fihom u kienu il-Queen li kolli ngħid l-affarijiet antika tagħhom jibqgħu kbar. Avolja huma pop ma' l-melodies u songwriting, speċjalment is-songwriting iktar Freddie Mercury. Ma ħdilhom xejn.
Because I was very bored and going to clubs and discos back then didn't inspire me at all, and I was constantly looking for something new to do. And then I heard a radio program and they were talking about punk music and post-punk, and then they played the Buskett first and I fell in love with them. Then they played Joy Division and, you know, and Gang of Four, and it started there. I have so many to mention, but I'll mention three I really love. Experimental. I mean, there's lots of experimental acts out there, past and present. Cabaret Voltaire, Japanese experimental, the Boredoms, you know, noise music, I quite love it. And industrial as well. British industrial, Throbbing Gristle, Ut, Coil. Then there's the 1970s New York punk. That was one of my favorites. The Ramones, Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, Lydia Lunch. Lydia Lunch was fantastic. I mean, I base a lot of what I do on her rawness.
Three bands that influenced Areola Treat. Yes. But that was when we started. Sonic Youth and Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay, so I'd say the bands I always come back to, I guess, are Nine Inch Nails, PJ Harvey, Tool, Deftones, Perfect Circle, those bands. Those.
Sonic Youth, Graham Coxon, Eiffel Bowie. Influenza prinċipali Sonic Youth. Smajtom l-ewwel darba f'99. Zamba biet isma' back catalog tagħhom u baqgħu influenza prinċipali naħseb. Imma Bħala kitarist li qabel kont nisma' l-classic rock bħal ħafna nies, il-kitarist li ġenni minn classic rock naqleb għal affarijiet iktar alternative u kien Graham Coxon. Dak iż-żmien għadu mal-Blair, ġifieri kien ma bdiex jagħmel affarijiet solo, ġifieri mbagħad nisma' l-affarijiet solo tiegħu veru għaġbuni u veru bdejt nipprova affarijiet differenti u insomma minn hemm mbagħad tiftaħ orizzonti ġodda. U naħseb bħala singer-songwriter, ovvjament David Bowie jibqa' influenza kbira mhux fuq ibiża fuq ħafna. Nħobb isnija f'kull proġett nagħmel tuning ġdid. Dal-album l nissa huwa tuning fuq gitar baritone partikolari, hemm xi songs biss fuq tuning bħalma kien l-album ta' qablu.
Okay, what we do usually is Adrian probably come up with a riff or two, and then we'd come in and we fill in our separate parts to the riff, and then we just go along with the feel of the song. Sometimes, because I pick up Lisa to go to rehearsal, so sometimes we're late, and we turn up and we find out that Chris and Adrian would have already written half a song.
Lisa, skużara, suppost kien kanta fil-bidu mill-ewwel. Ma nafx fejn tkun kull dan din.
الربع ما دا جوبي
Batteries out.
Ġeneralment, jekk fuq gitarra nibdejhom jien, imma mhux fil-bidu kont nagħmel song sieħa u naħodha għall-band, issa m'għadniex nagħmel isni kolli biċċa tal-bidu u ġieli kolli forsi refrain ukoll, imma mbagħad nisma'ha flimkien u nkompluha mhux l-estija kollha waħdi mmur u mmur biha u kemm għal parti tagħhom speċi. Anke mħabba l-fatt is-songs ikkomplikaw ftit ruħhom m'għadhomx songs punk ta' 3 minuti ħammorru. Speċjalment dal-album li ħireġ issa hemm songs ta' xi 7 minuti u 8 minuti dikka żgħira iktar komplessi li jeħtieġu l-band hekk sħiħa. Bħala some lyrics li f'dej Lisa kienu.
Lyric-wise, well, Lisa's head is a bit, bizarre. Animals, carcasses, whiskey, bashing things. I don't know. I'll just hit things like that.
It's a very Orwellian album, in that it's quite dark and disturbing and chaotic and complex. Yeah, it reflects our modern day society, our life, the fact that we have been desensitized by the ones above us, by the powers that be. And this happens, it's an ongoing process. It'll just never stop. I think that we're already doomed as human beings because we've created life this way. We wanted it to be this way and we let it happen by making the wrong choices. The theme is still, the cause of destruction. Even though we might not be as playful as we were before, punk is not only about being playful, it's about being strong, it's about being ballsy, about having the right to say things that your government tells you not to. That's all.
All right. Okay.
The album Pleasure Machines was recorded, as was the first EP and the forthcoming album, on a Neve desk in a studio in Temple Studios, and we recorded it live. As you know, we love playing live, and we wanted the same reaction from when you listen to the CD. We wanted our listeners to get into the mood, to feel the same thing as much as possible.
Prował być jak jodło.
Okay. That we are very good cooks here at the Areola Treat. It's pasta with butternut squash. It's lasagnette with butternut squash and garlic, onions with parsley and cherry tomatoes, chorizo, Spanish sausage, and that's the butternut squash, sage, that's right, and I have the rosemary somewhere, and a few stalks to put in there. Let's begin. Switch this on, and I have no idea how to use his stove. So yeah, it is plugged in from here. And nothing's happening there. Nothing's happening here. So we might as well turn this back up again, because nothing happened. Well, we've finished recording all the live bits, because we're playing live on our album, that's right. We've done a few overdubs. Well, Mitzi has anyway. And now it's time for the vocals to start, hopefully after dinner. If the guys ever come out of there, we'll eat. Exactly. Stuff like that. It's been good so far. We've managed to do that in a total of 3.5 days, which is great. Excuse the illegal sound. Yeah. playing live is wonderful and horrible because I don't look at people. I tend to see shadows. And I usually take my glasses off. I don't really see well without them, but I think I prefer seeing the world that way. With regard to music, there's not much going on in the scenes that I can relate to. So going in places like, Belgium, yeah, that was inspiring. We've played a couple of times in Europe. We've been on a tour as well, and a few mini tours, whatever you want to call them, and playing there was great. Apart from the times we were completely sick and regurgitating all over the place.
L-ewwel darba kien qasir, kienet kull ma minna 3 days, 3 gigs. Kienet l-ewwel darba li tlajna daqna l-Belġium fejn kienet il-label li kellna li fuq hemmhekk kienet Gent, il-hometown speċi tagħhom kien. Daqna fil-Gent Festival allura kien ħafna nies. Kienet l-aħħar ġurnata kienet festival u morna tajjeb. Sorprendentament insertajna heatwave u daqna fil-post minna air condition għax ma tantx ikollhom heatwaves hemmhekk. U mitna bisħana, imma kienet esperjenza sabiħa. Ma kien fatt li tagħmel 3 ijiem gig kuljum hekk aħna ma tagħniex imdorrin biha. Sabiħa jien. U t-tieni darba mbagħad dak kienet soqna aħna t darba nsilna l-Italja, t darba kienet ħafna iktar interessanti. Kenna labsu d-dawn sifem, għax għamilna ġematejn u għamna ftit stejjer mux ħażin. Krajna dan il-van massiv li jesa 9 nies l-lagġ tagħna ta' ġematejn u l-gir kollu fuq wara. Stat immaġna kemm kien kbir il-van u soqna mill-Belġium sa l-Italja. Semmek kien kollox xarajt, sakemm tħallna nsuq Ruma kejos kbir biex is-suq ġafija van se kbir u kollox bil-kontra u motorini għaddejjin minn kull imkien. Wara li tħallna għaddejna minn dak ix-xokk, ma daqqajna l-ewwel gig kien tajjeb u l-post kien sabiħ, sa morna tajjeb u mbagħad ipparkejna l-van fl-għaxija filgħodu, xi darba filgħodu u morna biex norqdu. U l-għada somma nissallum norqdu rqada twila u ma qasbis riċna, ġbir ma minnix sightseeing għedna għanistriħu għax kellna vjaġġ twil u konna ħammorru gig ieħor madna l-għada. U xin sar ħin biex immorru għal-van u morru għal-soundcheck kienu xi darba ta' nofsinhar, jien kont ipparkejtu l-van li ġo taqqa minn. Allura mort jien għalih għax konna fejnu u ġej Steve miegħi konduzzjoni. U aħna mexxin għalfej suppost kemm il-van. Steve għatlu l-van mhux hawn. Ħasib niet niċċajta. Xin niet nibjat, duna li veru bis-sejta il-van mhux hemm. U saba il-van ġiet tojjat fi kliem qasir. Għax sa jekk tmur Ruma tara karozzi parkjati l-iktar mod għad-doċ possibbli, ġo zebra crossing tara l-smarts tilajnek fuq il-bankini dak it-tip, imma l-van tagħna x'kellu number plates Belġjani ta' fastidju u t-towjaw. Minna u minnem imnalla kellna it-Taljani kolla nuqdu għandu li somma pela mefti telefonati u skoprejna fej jista' jkun nal-van u badna di tram ride biex nsibu l-van u wasalna fil-yard fej jibnem il-karozzi t-tojati. Aħna mnalina ħanħalsu u nistaw nitilqu. Le, ma peress li l-van kellu plates baranin rridu jiġu l-wardens hemmhekk biex ħalluna nieħduh. U għamilna xi sija nofs istennew f'Bart Buskett. Anyway, fl-aħħar wardens ġew u ħallasna l-fija u whatever li kellna ħassu u tlaqna. Ovvjament konna din xi sagħtej tard. Sa dak gig ma kienx Ruma, kien barra Ruma. U tħallna ġo dal-villaġġ li kellna għandu fuq kollha toroq daqshekk u aħna minnhom kellha faċċata bl-scaffolding u jerġa' kien iktar dejqa u ridna ngħaddu minnu u kollha xattela għax dan Hilltop Village u dejjem tela fuq. U tipo ngħaddu bleżat nagħlqu l-mirja il-klaċċ għadija minn riħa. Anyway, fl-aħħar wasalna xi 3 sigħat tard f'dan madoffi post li aħna għadna raħa lider mejjed minn Simnalla. Naslu kunna l-post pakjat. bin-nies. U insomma kulħadd qabad xi ħaġa mill-gear kollu tħallna f'darba flok inġorru kollox. Soundcheck u bdejna. Soundcheck kienna pizza u bdejna. Ma insomma, ħasil kollu kien wieħed mill-aħjar geeks ġifieri spiċċajna ma għax kien hekk dajna ġo full house, fost li ma konniex qed nistennew li ħajkun kien hemm nies iktar mill-geek ta' Ruma. Tifhimni ġifieri issa dajk isemmilek x'ismu l-post ħadd ma ħajkun jaf bih, imma somehow.
Playing in Malta has its ups and downs, so to speak. For this launch, for example, the Walk Into Nothing launch, we're a bit at a loss where we want to play because we can't find the right venue. The venue which we used to play the most closed down a few months ago. I mean, at least before, one venue used to close and another one opens for bands, like coincidentally. But right now, that didn't happen, that usual pattern didn't continue and there isn't a place where to play. There is a sense of community between the bands, which is really nice. I mean, we help each other out, like if you bust a snare drum during a gig, some guy would probably help you out, go home and get it for you, because again, in Malta, no place is far away. 20 minutes, go home, get what you need to come back. And the climate and the whole atmosphere of Malta, it's quite laid back, and it's usually reflected in a lot of the different bands' music. I mean, overall, we have what we have, we're based in Malta and we try to make the most out of it. But when we do get a really good gig in Malta, it is really good. I mean, it will be really buzzing and everyone will be having a really good time. And since most people know each other already and it is usually the same crowd and a lot of people do show up, it's just like a really good party when you have a good gig.
Naf il-problemi kollha mill-point of view ta' mużiċist, speċjalment l-istil indoqgħu għana taħdem kontrik, imma peress li aħna nagħmlu għax inħobbu u mhux il-ġob tagħna u mhux naqlawx flus minnu, hemm affarijiet oħra li hawn Malta worth it tgħix hawn Malta sakemm tibqa' bil-mentalità li qed tagħmlu għax qed toħu gost tagħmlu għax tħobb tagħmlu huwa tajjeb, għalhekk tkun trid taqla l-flus, speċjalment fl-istil ta' mużika tagħna, anke barra diffiċli bħalissa, ma definitely kont taħli ħin tibqa' hawnhekk, imma ovvjament il-ħajja mhix biss il-band u l-istrumenti whatever, speċi hawn affarijiet li aħna naħduha for granted, imma hija l ħadd ieħor mhumiex, il-klima, il-pajsaġġ, il-mod kif ngħixu aħna, imma ħajja maġla ma xorta komparat ma' ċerti European cities li jgħixu l-ikel u l-baħar u x-xemx, ħafna affarijiet. I didn't expect it to be that long.
I know. We gave them their money's worth.